Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode with Tweet the Leading You podcast. It's your boy Tyler here. And hey, we're here with another conversation on continuing with your mental health. We're having a host conversation here with Josh and I, and we're just going to go with the flow. We have a question and we're going to start the conversation. But Josh, before I do that, how you doing? How's your day going?
Doing good. Day's going good. And it's always a good day when you get to discuss with your friend about the topics that you find interesting. And looking
Yeah.
forward to this one.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have good conversation with you, man, when we get to actually do this. I think we're gonna do this a little bit more often. I think it's really good to gel that
Yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
and yeah, it's
been really
pretty good.
enjoying it as well.
Yeah. So the question that we have, Josh, is how can you upgrade your internal dialogue to reflect who you are and who you want to be in a more positive way? Like seeing yourself in a more positive way. We live in a society where we're not encouraged to see ourselves in positive ways or to even
Hmm.
encourage ourselves. So I'll let you
Yeah,
lead the conversation in that way. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's an interesting question as well. It's definitely hard, and it kind of relates to the discussion we just had in the last episode about the society we live in, and I think you kind of just touched on it as well. Um, we live in a culture that doesn't praise. I mean, it praises like achievements and it praises getting a goal, but it doesn't praise the journey. It doesn't praise how you treat yourself when you're going through tough times.
Right.
Um, and that internal dialogue that you have with yourself is very important. Um, and I think a lot of people struggle with that, and I definitely struggle with that. And I thought it was a good question to have, and I wanted to get your opinions on it as well. It's hard not to beat yourself up. Even if you succeed, it's hard not to beat yourself up. So it's just a weird thing that I think our society and just humans in general have created, and I think that might relate to long ago when you could never be safe. Maybe if you thought
Yeah.
about it in that type of philosophical way,
Yeah.
um, is like never being satisfied or never feeling safe. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why you beat up on yourself.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's important to um, talk to yourself in a positive light, and that can be very hard. Um, so maybe what do you think you can do to talk to yourself in better ways, and how can you sustain that? Because I think also that's an important part too. Is you can talk to yourself good for a day, but then if you spend the next 3 weeks talking back to yourself, then you're not going to get anywhere. So how do you think you can sustain that?
Well, encouraging yourself is really important, Josh. I feel like for me, I feel that it starts from the home. I think this is for parents who
It's a good
are
point.
have little kids. I encourage you embrace your kids to motivate themselves to do what they can. Embrace your kids to actually encourage themselves and to build that atmosphere to say, I can do this. I feel this way because I am strong. I have the ability to do it. And for me, a lot of people are afraid of the mirror. I don't know why. A lot of people have not gotten the chance to look in the mirror to say, I am beautiful, I am awesome, I am handsome, I am worthy
Hmm.
of doing things. And I think because it depends on the culture that you live in, because I grew up in the Bahamas. So I grew up in a culture where my parents were there to support me and they were there to say, hey, you are strong. You are built with purpose. You are
Hmm.
so it depends on the culture. It depends on the environment that you were grown up in because it doesn't also depend on culture. It also depends on the home that you grew up in. Because if you grew up in a loving home where your parents or your siblings or your extended family members were there to encourage you and to build that surroundings, but you have to know who you are. That's where it all starts with knowing who you are and whose you are, and knowing that you are capable of it. You are capable of doing anything that you are. Do not listen to what society views because that's the problem. Because we have so much societal views, and society is to take now, oh, I have to believe that person. No, you don't have to believe that person. See, it all starts with the mind.
Yeah.
It all starts with the mind. Like the mind, you have to control this mind. You cannot allow this mind to control you. You have to allow you have to have the ability to say, okay, I hear you, mind, but this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is
Mhm.
how I'm going to treat myself and stuff like that. And yeah, control the
I
mind.
I don't I don't think you could have said it honestly any better than you just did. Like every single point you made right there, I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And I like the point you made about the home because I think that's something I didn't even think about, but that's so true. The nature and the nurture part of it is
yeah,
huge.
yeah.
But I think maybe to push that conversation even further is I think it's important to um, for parents or just for the culture that you live in general or the place that you grow up in general is to um, praise success and
Hmm.
be happy for successes, but when you have failures is not to put someone down. And I think that's where a large part of talking bad to yourself comes from
Yeah,
is when you have these negative things, it's easy, especially if you learn to it,
yeah,
to be like, oh, like this is bad and I'm bad and
yeah,
why would I do this? And but if you have good self-reflection, and that can come from, the place that you were brought up in,
yeah,
to realize that life is not always good, and you're not always going to succeed, and you're not always going to make the
yeah,
right decisions or whatever.
yeah,
You're going to make mistakes. But if you have good self-reflection, you say, you know, I'm going to grow in this area, and I'm going to try to improve myself, then that's all you need. You're not going to be perfect. No one's ever has been or ever will be. Um, but you can reduce the internal pressure that you have on yourself by um, having correct dialogue with yourself,
yeah,
and good dialogue. And you're not always going to have perfect dialogue. You're going to beat yourself up. It's just human nature to do that every once in a while. But the more often that you talk good to yourself, I think it's will lead to benefits rather than deficiencies. But that also, I think, leads to another kind of discussion maybe we can have another day is you don't want to talk good to yourself all the time either too. You have to be self-reflective
yeah,
and know when um, you know when to be hard on yourself too. That it's a balance, just like we were talking about before. It's a balance of good
yeah.
and bad, because being hard on yourself is also important in certain situations. So I think that's
Yeah.
kind of my 2 cents on
I,
that.
I say that, it's really important to think about that it's okay to fail, but knowing the steps that, hey, I failed, but this is a lesson for me. This is a
Hmm.
learning opportunity for how can I, don't say how can I prevent this failure, but how can I be improved from this failure, or what are the lessons that I took away from doing this, or um, being kind to yourself during that process. Not saying that you can't mess up again. You will mess up. That's just life,
Yeah.
a life thing. But don't hit yourself so hard. And yes, in the instant moment, you're going to feel that way for sure. Like that's a life reality, that you are going to feel it that way. But don't allow it to prolong where you need to go or where you want to go. Build a strategy of something. For me, I internally say, oh, darn it, feel that way for a little bit, maybe for an hour, maybe hour or two, and then
Hmm.
after I pick myself back up, or I try to talk to a friend, have a conversation with a friend, so that they can boost me up a little bit. So make sure having maybe that trusted individual again, like we talked in a few episodes back, having that person to support you, to boost your energy, or go for your favorite snack. I go for bubble tea. I love bubble
It's
tea.
good.
I do get me some bubble tea, or I go to a movie, or it's like I
Hmm.
go into full self care type way just to know, hey, that was just a moment that I'm feeling. Now I need
Hmm.
to put myself into a better space so I can push myself forward, and stuff like that. So that's how I survive. That's how I survive to give you all the energy. that I have is it doesn't mean that I don't show it. I don't show it on here, but I'm being real with you that hey, I go through this or I've experienced this and this is what has happened. And I'm not perfect. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect in that Templeton, Tyler Sawyer has it all together or
Hmm.
Josh has it all together. We don't. We don't have it all together, but these are just some learning curves that we're learning with you and we're sharing with you to help you
Yeah,
grow. Yeah.
couldn't agree more. Nicely said.
Yeah. Yeah. This is good. So Josh, bubble tea. What's your favorite bubble tea? If you had bubble
I don't
tea.
really know the flavors, but I just like the regular one. Honestly, I think I've only ever had the regular one, so maybe that's why. But the
Uh,
regular one, I guess, is my
The
favorite
regular
one.
one. Okay, let's go with that. I'm a brown sugar pearl. I love this. At first, I was like, they have like the mango flavors, and I love mango. Anything with mango in it.
Yeah,
Um, and now I've fallen in love with brown sugar pearl with fresh milk. I
I
must
did
say.
actually. I did have that once, actually. My partner did have that once, and I tried it, and that was pretty good.
Yeah. So
Brown sugar one.
it's a refreshing. So we leave this episode to say, hey, if you're in Canada, if you're around bubble tea, go get you a bubba, go get you something to actually refresh and nourish your soul. And hey, we know that you can do it. Look yourself in that mirror. I know you're afraid of it, but hey, one day you can say that you can truly say that you believe in yourself. Hey, we believe in you as well. So go out in that society and get it. We'll
Good
see you on the
stuff.
next episode. Yeah. See ya.